everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Pink Plum Bob here, and I'm bringing you the second of my renovation series, which is a fire engine house. This is a 40 by 30 lot in Willow Creek. This is on the location where the community lots are. I believe I knocked down Movers and Shakers, or the one next to it, either one of those. And then I've turned it into a residential lot. And this house comes in at 192,718 simoleons. It's got 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. This lot also has 2 traits which I've added, which is the Great Acoustics trait. And the description for this is: the acoustics are perfect here, a great place for any musician to hone their skills. And this boosts all musical instrument skill gains by 50%. And I've also added the natural light trait, and the description for this is: the quality of light here makes painting and photography much easier to master. I built this house with an artistic or musical sim in mind, and it's suitable for a family of 4. I've decided to add a teenage boy's bedroom, a child sim girl's bedroom, but that can be easily converted into a teenage girl's bedroom, and also a unisex, neutral coloured adult's bedroom. For inspiration for this build, I got a lot of inspiration from Pinterest and also real life fire stations around the area where I live. There is one where I used to live in a small town, and I felt like this was an ideal building to renovate. I thought, I haven't seen anybody do a fire engine station in particular, so this is something I decided that I wanted to do. Now I do change the shape of this a little bit. I actually make it a larger lot. I spread the 2 archways out, and I also remove the right hand side tower, and I also add like a little extension on the side where the tower used to be. I wanted to keep some of the original features of this house that I believed would have been original on the old building when it was a working fire station. So I do actually include a fireman's pole on the inside of the interior. And I also replaced the big original doors where the fire engines would come out with giant glass windows. I thought this was a really nice, unique feature. And I also wanted to have black accents around the lot itself. And here now I am starting to change the shape of the building itself, and I also add some large industrial looking windows, and I imagine that these would have been original windows on the build, and I really like them. They have that industrial sort of vibe to them. I also keep what I would have imagined to have been the original archways of where the fire engines came out as well. And also on this lot I do add glass roofs, but I did have a little bit of a problem with the glass roof for some reason. They didn't seem to work. I'm not sure why, so if somebody could tell me why they kept filling in with the roof and not removing the roof, then please give me any ideas on why that's happening. I did have a lot of issues. I kept removing it and then having to put it back in, like undoing the selection, but for some reason it was just playing up, and I've never had that problem before. Something else I also imagined was that the tower on the side of the building would be like the old practice tower where they would have practiced fires, so on and so forth. I know it doesn't sound very logical considering it's actually attached to the main building, but I thought, hey just put that in there, and I decided to renovate that whole section as bathrooms for the house. I also add a lot of brick on the inside and the exterior of the house. I wanted to keep it looking like as original as possible, and I like that whole brick indoor outside thing going on. I think that's a really nice look. I don't use all of the original brick from the outside inside, only in the hallway, but you'll see that later on in the video. And I can't remember where it's from. It might be from City Living or something like that, and it's like a creamy kind of brick. It's like painted brick basically. So, and I really like that on the inside. In terms of the black accents around the build, I used a lot of iron wrought fencing, if that's what it's called, and I also like to outline where the old doors used to be as well, with the black poles, or pillars are they called, something like that. And I just thought it added a really nice dynamic to the colour scheme of the exterior of the build. I like the cream, the black and the brick. So as you can see, the shape is starting to come together, and it is nearly at its final stage of being built. You'll see me add the extension on the side in a moment as well. And in terms of the landscaping for this build, I went for very simple, once again white flowers, with very similar to the schoolhouse build I did in my last video. I also forgot to mention that I do actually add an extension on the back of the building as well, which I later turn into an art studio, and I kept the original brick from the outside and I just added those standard kind of wooden floor boards, as I felt it looked really kind of art studio-y, you know, don't matter if you get a bit of paint on it, as I wanted a really creative artistic sim to be living in this home. In terms of the build itself, I'm very critical of my own work, and I actually really like this build. It's one of those builds that I believe I've put a lot of effort into and I've made it stand out. And as well, I also mentioned in the last video that I thought I put flags in the building, and I was actually talking about this one, so that's my bad, guys, sorry about that. I actually put the flags on this building, not the old school house. That's my mistake. I didn't do my homework before I voice recorded as well, and plus the fact I was really nervous, whereas this voiceover I'm much more confident compared to the first one. In terms of the back garden, I've made it very simple and it's not very private, I must admit. It's not a very private garden, especially with the location I put it in, because I felt, you know, this was the most appropriate location for this build. So Sims walking out and about will be able to see into your garden, which is kind of unfortunate. I mean, you're more than welcome to change the height of the fences if you needed them to be higher for whatever reason in your gameplay. But it's kind of, it fits in well with the build. It's very simple. It's not, like I said, I believe I said this in my last video, landscaping is not my strongest point, so I am improving slowly but surely, and eventually I will nip that in the bud and I will get it mastered. In the garden as well, I also add a small pond. Well, it's not really in the garden, it's more off the side, and I do add some greenery going up the side of the building. I always feel like greenery helps break up the colours a little bit, make it a bit more realistic as well. And I really like the little pond. I think the pond's really sweet, and I put one of those sundials there as well, kind of centering it off. And here I am just doing a little bit of the landscaping, and I do cheat a little bit, I must admit. I do fill in those gaps with terrain paint, but it makes it look much more fuller. Very green and healthy looking garden. I do come back to the back garden later on in the build. I always seem to start off well with the exterior. I always do the front garden, but I never ever seem to be able to do the back in one go for some reason. I don't know why. I feel like it's like a last thing to do on the list. I feel that that's just the way I build personally. Start from front to back and then just go on from there, really. Something else I do as well when I'm building, I never know what sort of Sims I've got in mind until I actually build the exterior, and then I go from there. I never ever have Sims pre-planned in my head. I literally just build the house I want to build, and then once I get inside, I just basically just do whatever comes to me. I never have a strategy for it or anything. I kind of build spontaneously in that sort of sense. I like to have an idea of what I'm building before I build it. I need like a plan, like a game plan, but that's only in terms of the exterior. Interior wise, I literally just do what I want when I feel like it. As you can see, the landscaping is starting to come together for the front, and we'll just say for the half back of the house, like, because I haven't done the back garden yet. It's starting to come together, and the pond, it is a funny shape, but I think ponds naturally should be a funny shape. So that's what I've done there, and then you'll see me in a moment. I will do the terrain paint for down the side of the house, and that almost looks like a public path where people can go, and I wanted it to look like that. I wanted it to look public, and I do put a couple of benches there later on as well as some bins, just to give it that kind of public-y kind of walkway look, even though it's a completely private piece of land. When it comes down to the voiceovers, I do struggle sometimes to think of things to talk about. I know this is my only second voiceover I've ever done, so what I'm going to do in parts, I'm going to keep my mic muted and just play the music until I'm ready to speak about the next thing. Right guys, I'm back. So now we are moving on to the interior of the build, and I am just getting the floor plan worked out, and you'll see it all start to come together. It doesn't have really any hallways as such. You kind of have to go through one room to another room to another room to get to all of the rooms. There's no kind of path to go down. Well, there is the hallway in the centre, which is where I've put the metal staircase. I also imagined that the staircase in this build was the original staircase for when the fire station was in service, and in that little nook in the front of the house I do put the fireman's pole. Now I couldn't find a straight up and straight down pole, which obviously would be more suitable for sliding down because you'd hurt yourself a little bit if you did that, which would be unfortunate. But luckily it's out of service, so it's no one's gonna get hurt this time. And I also do add like a little bridge which goes across the gap there, so you can have a look at the pole up close and personal. I thought that was a really nice little touch. Right, now we're moving on to my favourite part of the house, which is the kitchen. I feel like this is the centrepiece of this house. I really love this. There's a lot of dark wood tones. I use those industrial looking worktops as well. I think they're called like the modular counters or something like that, and I absolutely adore them. I think it suits this build really, really well, and I love this whole industrial kind of vibe for the house. I feel like it suits the sort of building that it is. And I do add also another pole, which I imagine could have been maybe an old fireman's pole back in its day, but there's been a roof put on top since, so you wouldn't be able to slide down it now, unfortunately for you. Right, now I also do add a lot of copper accents to this as well. I feel like it brings out the colours a bit more. It just adds something to break up those colours, make it more, I don't know, a little bit warmer, a little bit more inviting. I felt like just the small details always make the biggest difference. Something else that I do also add to this kitchen is a emergency fire extinguisher. I didn't even know that we had them in the game until I saw them in the decoration section. I don't put it in right now. I do put it in later on when I actually find it. I think, oh blimey, that's great. It's perfect for this build. I thought it was just ironic to have it. And I also love the giant windows for this. I feel like it lets lots of light in, and I also attached some of those copper frying pans to one of the windows. I felt like it seemed to fit well on there. You'll see what I mean when I put them on in a second. And I just add your usual clutter items, stuff like that. And then this is when I also start to add the orangey copper accents into the build. You'll see me change the colour of the dishwasher and the sink, and I think the stools, it's the stools that set it off actually. I think, oh actually that looks alright, that does. So I then change the colours just to make it pop a little bit. Moving on to the dining room, and with this I stuck with the same brick as with most of the house, and I also used, I believe they're the Jungle Adventures wooden floorboards as well. I feel like they look a little bit bleached and a little bit kind of maybe old, and maybe they've just been recycled and used in this build, and I think they look really nice in the dining room. And I also stick with the black and white and the kind of coppery orangey kind of theme. I feel like it's a very classy looking dining room. And I like the fact that they can have a look out the giant windows where the big fire engine doors used to be, where there's lots of light. I think it's a really nice dining room. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I also used the sketches of the architecture that I used in the previous build, which was my schoolhouse build. And I really like these. I feel like, I don't know, I use these quite a lot in my builds. I think they look really nice. And I also use that seasoned kind of, what's it called now? Like a sideboard where you keep all your plates and extra cutlery and stuff like that. Adding a nice bookshelf. There is a lot of bookshelves in this build, I must say. I don't know, I think it's a good kind of way to fill up a lot of space if you don't know what to put there. So I put in a nice bookshelf. And you'll also see me something which I've never done before when I move on to the living room in a moment. And you'll see that I actually stack bookshelves on top of each other and make like this giant bookshelf thing. You'll see it in a minute. And I thought I'll put a nice little lounger there as well, just to kind of fill up another little space. And I don't know, I just really like this dining room. I think it's really lovely. Like, I'd be happy to have, you know, it'd be the kind of place you'd want to have a nice party, and it's nice and open up to the kitchen as well. When it comes down to the living room, I do stick with the same colour scheme as well, keeping to those dark tones with the black and the white and the orangey coppery colour. I just think it looks really nice throughout the build. But I do change it up when it comes to the bedrooms. I add a little bit more personality. And here I am adding the fire hydrant that I found. I thought, that's a great find, I'm going to stick that in there. And then I also use those really nice wall decorations. And I don't think I've actually ever used those in my life, to be honest with you. So, and then I've also used that giant lamp, which I sized down so it wasn't like on the dining room table. You wouldn't be able to eat your dinner very well if you had a giant lamp just on your table. And then I'm just going in and filling in the rest of the terrain paint where I've missed. And I add a couple of hanging baskets, because you can't beat a couple of hanging baskets. And I also forget to actually put flowers around the front of the windows as well. But I decided against it in the end. And then here I am just doing the same flooring and walls for the living room area. Now, I did try to make like a corner sofa, but I don't like it when it has that glitchy kind of, it just glitches out and it doesn't look nice in gameplay. So I decided to have two separate couches in the end. And you'll actually see me make the giant bookshelf in a moment on the other wall. Now, in this living room, I did add quite a few skill building items. I felt that this could be a really creative kind of family, like musician, artist, that kind of skill building items. So I do add a keyboard and a guitar, and I also add a chess table as well. And for a bit of fun, I do add a globe bar. Sorry, my phone's just gone off. So yeah, so here I am making, it's like a two-story bookcase, and it kind of reminded me of an industrial version of like the Beauty and the Beast library. That's the kind of thing I was going for, and I thought, should I try and make like a little ladder scope? I thought, no, I'll leave it as it is. And then I'll just add those, I actually put the keyboard like kind of in against the bookshelf as well, and it looks really nice. And I do stick to this style of furniture, the very industrial looking furniture, and I just think it looks really nice. I really like this living room. Overall, I really like the build. I was quite pleased with it, so I can't complain in terms of, I think it's much better compared to my first build. It's much more organised. I know what I want in here. So here I am. I'm thinking, shall I put the chess table here? And then I think, no, I'll leave that. And then that's when I find the cute little keyboard. And it's like that kind of retro brown colour, and I think it looks really good. And then I also add a few plaques on the wall, and then I also add that kind of, I think it's laundry day stuff pack rug, which you'll see here now. Now, I do only film the one bathroom because they are both very similar, and they are both directly parallel above each other. And I just went for a black tile with like a classic kind of creamy decorative flooring. It's pretty simple, it's nothing exciting. I find bathrooms to be quite boring, to be honest with you, and I never know what to do. I can never make an exciting bathroom, so if anybody's got any tips or tricks on how to make an exciting bathroom, then please let me know. But in the bathroom upstairs, I think I do add a corner bath actually, so it's slightly different, but in terms of colour scheme and the counters and everything like that, everything is very samey. So now we're moving on to the master bedroom, and I went with a neutral themed bedroom. So this is suitable for couples or single parents, whatever your Sims situation is, it's perfect for them, it's ideal. And I stuck with the same sort of colour theme but lighter, so I've just stuck with beiges, greys and whites for this bedroom, and I did use that same floorboards that I used downstairs, but it's kind of like a more bleached tone. It's been washed out a lot more than the other one, and it's in a nice grey colour, and I really like this bedroom. I think it's really nice, really kind of grown up. In this bedroom I do also add a vanity table, I add a bookcase, and I also add that, it's like a lounger sort of chair that comes with the pet stuff pack. And I've never actually used that chair before, so I thought, you know what, I'll stick it in here. It seems to go well with the black windows and the black door. And it just looks really nice. And I did use a lot of Seasons items in this bedroom as well. It just seemed to have the aesthetic that I was after. And something else that I also use, which I've never actually used before, are the fitness stuff pack wall art mirror things. I don't know exactly what their purpose is. They're kind of a pointless decorative item, but I did put them on the wall and kind of made my own sort of pattern with them, which you'll see me do in a second. And I actually think they look really nice in here. Like, I've never used them before, but like I said in my last video, I'm trying to use more items that I never normally use in my builds. I always have my select go-to items, my go-to aesthetic that I use, and I'm glad I used some different items that I've never used before. I think it makes it more enjoyable and more exciting when it comes down to the building process. Something else that I do as well is I add just the normal clutter items, just make it look a bit lived in. And I also add some doors in those little kind of corner areas that you can see there on the right hand side. And the teenage boys bedroom has one as well, so your Sims can actually go and have a look outside on the small balconies. I mean, it's only one tile wide, so I didn't bother putting any furniture or anything out there. I just thought I'd leave it as it is. And here I am putting in that corner sofa. Not corner sofa, the lounger sofa, sorry. And then here I pull out these mirror things, and I thought they actually fit really well, so I did put those in. As you can see to the right hand side of the screen, there's a door, and that's where the ensuite bathroom is, which is directly above the bathroom that I filmed earlier. And this is where I add that corner bath as well, but you don't actually see me furnish this because I thought there's no point, it's very, very similar. And now we're moving on to the teenage boys bedroom, and I actually love this bedroom. I think it's very masculine, it's got lots of dark tones, it's got a lot of greys and browns and beiges, very earthy colours, and it does stick to the sort of theme of the house, very dark woods, that sort of colour, bricky, you know, sort of theme. And you'll see me in a moment, I do create like a little bookcase, like chest of drawers unit that I just kind of made. I shrunk down the chest of drawers and then I just raised up the bookcase, and it fits really nicely actually. I've never done it before, and here you'll see me do it right now. Here we go. And I think it just looks really nice, really cluttered up as well, and I think it's a lovely bedroom. I imagined this teenager to be kind of maybe a bit of a jockey kind of teenager, but it's suitable for any teenage boy or girl, even if you wanted to use it for a girl that's a bit more of a tomboy. And here I am just cluttering up the walls with some posters and some artwork as well. And then I also add just the usual sort of bedroom items. I do add a wardrobe in a moment. And I've never used that City Living poster either of like the Japanese artwork. And I thought that was really nice. It suited the colours and everything. And so yeah, I really like this bedroom. I really enjoyed making it. It has a bit more personality as opposed to the parents' bedroom, which is a bit more generic, I'd say. And then there's also the door on the left hand side there where they can actually go out onto the balcony as well. So yeah, this is the teenage boy's bedroom, and I did think about putting the mess in there as well, but I thought no, I feel like this teenager would be a bit more clean and he would look after his stuff a bit more, that sort of thing. Now we're moving on to the child sim girls bedroom, and I really like this bedroom as well. I think it still sticks with the aesthetic and the theme, and I also went for these light pink and brown tones as well with the geometric shapes on the wall and the bedspread as well. I really like this room. It can easily be transformed into a teenage girl's room if that's what you desired. And yeah, it's lovely. I do add a toy box and a doll's house, and I also add lots of teddy bears as well. So that's about it for this one. It's nothing too exciting, unfortunately, but I do add the generic sort of bedroom items again, you know, the bedside table, wardrobe, so on and so forth. And then just a brief section just to tell you what's going on in the hallway. So I just added a couple of plants, and then there you can see the little bridge as well, which goes overlooking the fireman's pole. And I thought that was really nice how you could, you know, it's a piece of history inside the house. You can imagine your sim just admiring the pole, thinking, you know, this used to be where our heroes used to work. So, and I do add a fish tank in here and just some artworks on the wall just to make it look kind of homely, lived in, that sort of thing. Right, now guys, this is my favourite part of the build. I'm very excited to show you this room. So I know that I've basically said all the other rooms in the house are my favourite room. Like, I love the kitchen, I love the dining room, and I love the living room, but this is my favourite part. And I'll tell you why. It's because at heart I love art and I love drawings and stuff like that. And I actually studied art and design when I went to college. And I don't know, it's got a soft spot in my heart, art has. And so I asked my boyfriend, I said, what do you think I should build for this massive room on the back? Because I had no idea. I thought about making it a laundry room, and then I thought, nah, that's boring. He says, why not make it into an art gallery? Or, not an art gallery, sorry, an art studio. And I tell you what, I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I got all of the unlockables and I just went crazy. I went art crazy. And you'll see me in a minute. I kind of make like a little viewpoint. Not a viewpoint, I don't know what you'd call it. I basically put a divider up and I put some of those plants and stuff in front of it so that the artist can draw from or paint from, you know, so they got something to paint in front of them. I don't know what you call it. If anyone's got the technical term, please let me know. But yes, I love this room. I really adore it. I like all the junk everywhere. I like how it's kind of like messy, because that's what artists do. We're, you know, messy creatures at heart. And here we go, like doing that thing I was on about. And I did put the easel the wrong way around to begin with, but I do turn it back around, so don't worry about that. And I remember at college as well, we used to have little stools by our easel so we could sit and paint if we needed to. So I do put a little stool by the easel as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. I love it, I adore it, and I thought I'd add the desk in the other corner as well so they can, you know, do some research if they need to, get some inspiration, so on and so forth. And I thought maybe one of the parents, maybe the dad or something, could be the artist of the house, and this was his main job, and this is what he did full time. So he needs a big space like this so he can just go crazy with his inspiration, and I absolutely love it. Right, now we're moving on to outside. This isn't too exciting. I mean, you saw me do pretty much all of the landscaping earlier, but anyway, to finish it off, I add a barbecue. I go with the red theme because I feel like red for fire engine sort of thing. So I stick with this red theme, and I also add like the little cutlery plates and sauces thing. I can't remember what pack it's from now, it's in the clutter items. And I thought, you know what, that's perfect. It'll be like, you know, I feel like this house could be like a proper, you know, let's have a barbecue kind of house. They always have family and friends over to have fun. So that's the kind of thing I was going for here, and I was trying to make like a barbecue bench, but I thought no, we'll leave that, and then I add this little glass table instead, and this is where I get the clutter from. I think it's from the top, the stuff pack that the little plates and knives set thing. I also add some more planter boxes, and I also add some swings and climbing frames for the children, and I also add a sprinkler and a water balloon bucket as well. Oh, and not forgetting, I do add a cooler. And I wanted, and like I said earlier on in the video, I wanted this surrounding area to kind of look public. I wanted it to look as if it should be public property because of the sort of building that it is. But it still looks kind of homely at the same time. I thought about adding a fire pit because I thought that'd be quite ironic, but I thought no, because I just thought against it in the end. And I've had too many accidents with those fire pits in the past. I think my Sims get a bit fuel happy and put too much fuel on it and set themselves on fire. The amount of times I've had that happen. And I actually remember to put a bin in this time, and I also remember to put in the letterbox as well. And once again, look, sticking with the red theme. So yeah, that's pretty much about it for this build, to be honest, guys. I'd just like to say thank you so much for viewing it, if you have viewed it. I mean, I haven't had very many views on my other video thus far, but hopefully it will get busier and busier and people will want to watch more and more of my build. But I'm just going to keep posting, I don't know, I'm just going to keep on posting until people give me the views. So yeah, here's the screenshots. If you like this build, please like and subscribe. I will put it on my channel. Not my channel, sorry, the gallery, under the hashtag EmmaPP, which is Emma Pink Plum Bob in short term. So thanks a lot, guys. Bye!